As we get older, we're increasingly clear about what our strengths are, what our weaknesses are. We're increasingly clear about who cares about us and who doesn't. And so we're able to mold our worlds better.
Over the last 2 decades, psychologist Laura Carstensen has been monitoring hundreds of individuals to see how their emotional lives change as they age.
We recruited a group of participants who were initially aged 18 to 94. And we asked them to carry an electronic pager with them. Each time they were paged, we asked them to tell us the extent to which they were feeling each of 19 different emotions. And we had them give us this information 35 times during a week.
Carstensen's findings tell us that people become increasingly positive as they grow older, as long as they aren't suffering from physical pain or debilitating illness.
It was pretty dramatic. Essentially, what we found is that 70-year-olds were experiencing fewer negative emotions than 40-year-olds. 40-year-olds were experiencing fewer negative emotions than 20-year-olds.
In later studies, Carstensen identified several causes for this remarkable shift.
Humans know that they're mortal. We know that we have only a certain amount of time on this planet, and this changes people's motivation and changes their emotional experience. As we age, it appears that people are better at experiencing the moment, enjoying what they're doing at a particular point in time. In some sense, it's the silver lining of getting old, that we don't have to prepare for the future. We don't have the burden of the future.
The major consequence of this change? Older people tend to alter their social behavior.
When motivation shifts, so you're focusing on what matters most in life, for most people, they start to focus on their relationships and their closest relationships.
You value your friendships, you value your children, your family.
Betty Schneider is 87 years old. She's one of hundreds of elderly people who have participated in Carstensen's studies.
As I've become older, it seems that I really appreciate my life even more. When I was younger, I didn't even think about old age, but it turned out to be wonderful.
Betty is a widow. Her husband, Jack, succumbed to a stroke 6 years ago. But like many people in her situation, she doesn't dwell on the loss. In fact, her daily life is remarkably busy. She takes classes, spends time with her grandchildren, and has a full social schedule.
I miss Jack. We did so many things together. We were married for 61 years. And after Jack passed on, it was pretty glum. And gradually it's become better again. There's lots going on, and he would enjoy a lot of the things that I'm doing. But I'm sorry he's not here. But I'm just so glad we had all those years.
In some ways, it challenges our most fundamental assumptions about happiness, because we think that happiness is derived from youth and power and attractiveness, health, all of these things that decline with age. But yet we're finding that among older people who are clearly suffering these kinds of losses are also somehow experiencing life emotionally better than ever.
I feel very fortunate. I often go through all the good things that have happened, what's been good today. It's interesting, younger people don't really believe that you can be optimistic and feel positive about things that are happening when you're old. But believe me, you do. And I know I don't have a long time to live, but it's turned out to be a very, very rewarding time.
We start out in high chairs, we end up in wheelchairs, and somewhere between the two, we all have to figure out where our happiness lies, and then start marching in that direction. So, who brought the map? Well, everyone did. grandmothers and uncles, priests and rabbis, taxi drivers, bartenders, motivational speakers, they all have something to say about happiness, but they don't all say the same thing. And that's where science comes in. By using scientific methods to identify the causes of human happiness, we're learning that the secret of happiness was never very secret. We're connected to each other. We belong to each other. We're made for each other. Life is a journey through time, and happiness is what happens when we make that journey together.
$10,000.
15? 15, you think?
20, 21,000?
600.
20. 18.5.
24.
It's at least 40.
Look at it.
4,500,000.
650.
20.
650.
This textile would be worth about $500,000.
$500,000?
No way!
I knew it. It's just a blanket.